What's going on? I'm driving to the east side of the state, and so I'm going to be in the car for a while. So I figured I'd jump on and talk about a topic that has been on my mind the last few days, especially yesterday when I met with one of my athletes, about this. And it's all about self-talk, okay, and how powerful it can be and how it can alter the course of your career, okay? And the reason I want to talk about this today is because me and my athlete were talking about it. She has to qualify for states, right? So her team technically already qualified for states, but individually within her team, she has to compete for a spot. And obviously, it's a lot of pressure. So she has to beat a certain time. And we got to talking about self-talk because it's pretty natural when you're talking about competing and knowing exactly the outcome that you need to get. And it's very hard to stay focused on your tasks when you know the exact outcome that you need, right? And if you don't get it, like, you're done, right? So what we talked about was there's a couple different ways to frame how she can look at the time that she needs to be, okay? One of them is, oh my gosh, you feel the pressure, right? The pressure's building. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can beat this time. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make state this year. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm scared, I'm nervous, I'm afraid. The list goes on and on. It's pretty negative. You're feeling the pressure, okay? Then there's the other way of kind of embracing the pressure, all right? You understand it's there. You understand you need the time, but you're looking at it as like, I'm gonna beat that time. Like, come on, bring on the pressure, because pressure forms diamonds. Like, I'm going to get this time, right? And those two different ways of looking at it can alter how you run, right? And how you compete, because one of them is building up and the other one is tearing you down. And one of them is built off of faith, excitement, power, driven, and the other one is built on fear and anxiety. And it all starts, and how you look at it all starts with your self-talk and your perspective on that, right? And one of my favorite examples of positive self-talk is Aaron Donald, plays for the LA Rams. And his self-talk, there's a video that surfaced, I think it was this past season, of him just like kind of pacing back and forth on the field, and just his self-talk is unbelievable. Talking about controlled aggression, like, this is your moment, this is what you've trained for, and you can see the confidence building within him. Like, it's crazy. You can see how he feels. He's like, this is it, like, controlled aggression. And to him, controlled aggression is something that he's done a million times, right? He knows exactly what that means. He knows that's his job to do. Like, he knows what controlled aggression means. He knows the things that he has to do on the field. He knows how he needs to operate. He knows just basically how to think. And by verbalizing that and having that outward self-talk, he starts to build confidence and get laser focused on what he needs to accomplish. And that by far is one of my favorite examples of self-talk, because you can see how powerful it really is and how much confidence it truly builds in him, okay? There's another example I want to talk about with self-talk. And this is a story from one of my friends, his dad. He's the sheriff of Genesee County. And he would always have, these stories about different accidents, different cases that they talked about. And there was this one story about an accident, and it was all about these two guys. They were similar accidents. They had similar injuries, and he reported to both of them. And one of them was like, don't let me die. I want to live. I've got a lot of things going for me. Like, you can't let me die. I don't want to die here. Okay? obviously you can sense the fear behind, but he's like very inclined, like he's gonna live. Like he's got the mentality of like, I'm getting through this, like I want to live. Then he went to the other guy, and the other guy is there. He's like, I can't believe this is happening. Like I'm gonna die. I don't believe this. Like, oh my gosh, like just freaking out, really negative, like basically saying this is it, this is the end. And they both get rushed to the hospital, and both of them are in the ICU, critical condition. Only one of them lives. And I bet you can imagine which one is the one that ends up living. Okay? It's the one that has the positive self-talk, the one that pushed through, the one that said, I'm going to live no matter what. And now, that's an extreme example of self-talk. But it's the mentality of, I'm going to do this. I know exactly what my job is. Like, I'm going to live. Like, I'm going to do this. Right? Like, in building up that confidence in them, in their mentality, because how you think affects how you act, and it affects your physiological response. And I wholeheartely believe that the only reason that man is alive today is because of the self-talk that he had. Because he told himself and told the sheriff, I'm gonna live. Like, get me out of this, like, I wanna live. And that just shows the power of, like, how you communicate to yourself is truly, like, you can kind of manifest some things that happen. Because Ben Bergeron, a CrossFit trainer, one of the best in the world, always says this, and it's one of my favorite things. I tell it to my athletes all the time, is how you think, what you think about turns into your words, right? Your thoughts turn into your words turn into your actions, and your actions determine your future. I think that's so amazing because it's exactly right? What you think about will always turn into your words. And then that will always turn into how you act. And your actions determine your future. So if you start with positive thinking and dominant thinking, how you act will replicate that, right? You will start to act the way you think, right? So if you're really negative in your thinking, you're like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can beat this time. I don't know if I can get this last rep in. I don't know if we're going to be able to come back from this 2-1 deficit. That will show in your actions. It will change the way you compete. It will change the way you play. So going back to one of my athletes, with her, it was like, I'm no longer, like, you need to start thinking, I'm going to beat this time. Start building that confidence throughout the day today of, I'm going to beat this time. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to dominate. Everything that I do will emulate that of someone that's dominating. Right? I will adopt the identity of someone that will dominate this time in this race, and I will make state. And that's what it comes down to with good players and great players and the best, is how they communicate to themselves, right? So you see players, obviously like Aaron Donald that I mentioned, players at the highest level possible there is, dominating in their self-talk, constantly being supportive and confident in how they communicate with themselves, right? Forget about what anyone else says. It's all about you, right? So I want to come on and just kind of talk about that and be like, what's your self-talk like? How dominant is it? Is it encouraging? Are you listening to the critic inside your head, or are you listening to the coach inside your head? And whichever one you listen to will determine how you perform on that day. Now, of course, there's other things that come into play. There's things that are well outside of your control. But the number one thing that's in your control is your self-talk and how you communicate to yourself. Because the best form of confidence is self-confidence, and it comes from you. Not from someone else, not from your coach, not from your teammates, not from your parents. It comes from you. So, dominate in your self-talk today. Assess the way you talk to yourself. Listen to the coach inside your head. Don't listen to the critic. The critic will tear you down. The coach will build you up. Listen to the coach, and you will dominate how you perform on a day-to-day basis. So, listen to the coach today. Don't listen to the critic.